I'm Kate Boorman, and this is Wordsmith with Us, brought to you by Yabs TV and made possible by the generous folks at the Rosé Foundation. Wordsmith with Us is authors sharing their tips and tricks for writing and creating worlds and all kinds of good stuff. I write books primarily for young adults, and so my presentation is geared towards students grade 7 and up. I write books like Winterkill, a young adult alternate history set on the spooky reimagined prairies, and my most recent release, What We Buried, which is a young adult thriller about two siblings who embark on a surreal and dangerous road trip to find their parents. Writing books takes tons of revision and fussing your sentences and making sure that you are saying what you want to say in the most succinct way possible. So I'm here today to give you 3 tips for ways to improve your writing and impress your teacher so that it doesn't come back to you all covered in the dreaded red pen. That's the name of this video, although I realize most work is submitted online now. It's a metaphoric red pen. So I'll give you my tip, I'll demo what I mean, and then I'll let you try it. And there will also be an opportunity at the end of the video for you to either submit your attempts at these exercises or show me what you've learned by submitting a snippet of your own creative work or an assignment you're working on, and I'll provide some feedback in a subsequent video. So let's get started. But first, here's my dog. Izzy's going to be the commercial breaks because. Okay, so my first tip deals with active versus passive voice. What is this? So choosing active over passive voice is simply a matter of knowing your subject in the sentence, locating the verb, the action that is being done, and then making sure the subject is verbing. In other words, the subject is doing the action, not having the action done to them. I'll show you what I mean. The lobster bisque was eaten by Thomas. So as I mentioned, you're trying to find the subject and verb. So a little trick is first to locate the verb. That's usually easy. It's an action word, and then figure out who's doing it. So in this case, the verb is eating, and Thomas is doing the eating. And so then you just switch the sentence around. So a less passive way to say it is, Thomas ate the lobster bisque. Okay, let's try another one. The crackers were dissolved by the lobster bisque. So now the verb is dissolve, and the lobster bisque is doing it. So a more active sentence would be, the lobster bisque dissolved the crackers. It is a more direct way to say it. It eliminates words, just 2 in this instance, right? Were and by. But if you are eliminating 2 unnecessary words every other sentence, you end up eliminating a ton of extra words that bloat your prose and incur the red pen. So now I'll let you look at this paragraph on your own, and you can pause the video here if you want to try it now, or you can come back and check it out later. But it's an example of passive voice. Great. So that's an easy way to infuse life into your work. Super simple. Pupper break. So my number 2 tip has to do with something called filter words. Filter words are words we use not often consciously in our writing. Often we end up using them because we are describing what we see rather than describing the moment itself. Sometimes we sort of accidentally use them to fill space and fulfill the word count in your assignment. But the point is that the result isn't a compelling read. It's a read that feels distant. We call them filter words because the read ends up being filtered through the character or the narrator in a way that's unnecessary. So here are a few examples of filter words. Saw, felt, notice, heard, wondered, realized, thought, seem. This is not an exhaustive list, it's just to give you an example. And here's an example of what that might look like in a sentence. Marina realized she could never truly love the seashore. She felt the sea brine was a daily assault on her delicate nostrils. So here, the filter words are realized and felt. And if we just remove those, we have Marina could never truly love the seashore. The sea brine was a daily assault on her delicate nostrils. It's a more direct way of saying it. So here's another one. I saw that an officer was standing on the train platform. I wondered if the knife in my pocket was obvious. I could tell that he was looking directly at me, and I knew I didn't have time to put it in my bag. So I'm sure you can pick out the filter words there. Saw, wondered, could tell, knew. So if you delete those, you have, an officer stood on the train platform. Was the knife in my pocket obvious? He was looking directly at me. I didn't have time to put it in my bag. And so here's a long one that you can try on your own. So you can Google a list of commonly used filter words and then just do a search and destroy in your assignment for them, and I promise it will be covered in far less metaphoric red pen when it comes back. Pupper break. Okay, on to my last tip, which is showing versus telling. This is a contentious one that is hotly debated amongst writerly types, but for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to assume that you have only ever heard showing versus telling in your drama class, where the instructor's like, show, don't tell, or whatever. It applies to your writing as well, and I think young writers often start out leaning more towards the telling, so this is for that. Telling is, as you might exactly imagine, something like, Miranda felt very sad and lonely. Sometimes it's necessary to just lay it out, but if you use telling too often, it distances the reader again by not getting us inside the character's experience. So showing us that Miranda felt very sad and lonely would look differently. It might be, Miranda's throat was tight and tears welled in her eyes. She wished she could call someone. Or you could go all metaphoric. Miranda's heart was an empty vessel, an unmoored ship at sea. The point is that you are using more evocative words to get us inside the feeling. So you are paying more attention to the character's experience and their senses rather than telling us their emotional state and expecting us to believe you. Let's try another. The house looked scary. I mean, really scary. I was scared just looking at it, and I could tell Angela was scared too. Okay, so that doesn't give us a whole lot to go on. We could try again. Let's try something like this. The house looked really scary. I was terrified. By the feeling of Angela's sweaty hand on my arm, she was nervous too. It's better, right? It gives us a little sense of Angela's emotional state. So what if we just went full in? We could work with something like, the house was dark. The front porch was falling apart, its paint peeling like burnt skin, and the windows were smashed and jagged. My heart sped. Angela gripped my arm with a clammy hand. That's a little bit better, I would say. So basically we use descriptive words to give the feeling of the house being scary. We give the characters reactions. We don't just tell the reader that the house is scary. So here's a longer one for you to pretty up. And in this exercise, you work towards showing us what is happening, not telling us. And again, pause it if you want to try it now. Final pupper break. So there you have it, Kate's 3 top tips for helping avoid the dreaded red pen. So now you can send me your attempts at those 3 tips, the examples I let you try, or you can open up a piece of your own writing, turn on track changes, and then look for ways you can either change passive sentences to active, eliminate filter words, or show instead of tell, or all of them. And then you can submit your work, and possibly a picture of your dog if you want to really make my day, to Young Alberta Book Society TV@gmail.com for a chance to get feedback or a shout out for your brilliance, or an answer if you include a question, and I will do that in my subsequent video. And that email address is also in the comments section below. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Good luck, friends. See you soon.